Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I've got a new piercing video for you and this time it's more of a chatty video, more informative than actually practical, I guess. Point being, I just wanted to talk with you about why not to change jewelry too soon, the average healing ways of a piercing. Keeping in mind, of course, that I'm not a doctor or a piercer, I'm just someone with piercings and Google. But yeah, anyway, you know, it's just one of the most common questions I get, how long a piercing takes to heal, you know, like when you can change it, that sort of thing. So I thought it'd be useful to make a dedicated video about that, so let's get started. Okay, before we start, just applying some extra lip gloss. No, this isn't a makeup video, but sometimes you just look into the mirror and realize, no, I don't actually want matte lips today. But anyway, onto the piercings. I made a list as usual when I am trying to actually, you know, tell you something informative. Because otherwise we're going to start off with talking about piercings, then we're going to end up talking about movies, and then we're going to end up talking about potted plants, and then back to the piercings, and then no one will still understand what I'm trying to say here. So yeah, I made a list. Also, in case you're wondering what this stain is, it's body paint. Let's just get that elephant out of the room. Anyway, but yeah, first off, the average healing time of a piercing, you can easily Google this, and your piercer will probably also tell you. And do keep in mind that, they don't say that for nothing. They don't say it's to, trick you into wearing the original jewelry for too long. No, it really is the healing time that you should keep in mind with your piercing. So, for a belly button piercing, it's about 9 months. For a tongue piercing, only 4 weeks. Lip piercing and cartilage piercing is 9 months to a year. You know, and those are you know, some people heal quicker than others, some people heal slower. So if they say 9 months, then yours might be healed in 7 months. But it definitely won't be healed yet in 2 months. So keep that in mind. And I really do understand wanting to change jewelry. I got my piercings just because I wanted nice jewelry in them. I got them for the jewelry. But, you know, it's better to just keep the original jewelry for longer. And then after a year be able to switch it how often you want. Rather than to start switching it after 2 months and then be stuck with a helix piercing that's continuously irritated and painful and gross and really not all that pretty or comfortable. So yeah, just keep that in mind. The healing time is just really there is some difference between people, but you're not gonna be able to heal a cartilage piercing in a month. And about that healing period, I looked up certain bits and pieces of information. Again, I'm not a doctor. But what I've heard from piercers and could find online, basically, the way a wound heals, your body has the priority to close it up. So when you get a piercing done, your body is going to focus on closing the wound. Just make sure that it's sealed off, stops bleeding, and bacteria can't get in anymore. And it's usually that takes a week, maybe 2 weeks, depending on how big the piercing is and how fast you heal. But at that point, it'll probably stop hurting. However, the point is, it's not healed as a piercing yet. The wound is closed, but you gotta think of it if you get a scratch on your hand, for example. You know, it's going to scab over, and once the scabs go off, then there's this really thin skin there. It's just not as strong as the rest of your skin yet, because it's very fresh. Same thing goes for piercing, and that is going to take a really long time to heal because, well, basically, if you change it too fast, if you're at the point where it doesn't hurt anymore and it doesn't bleed anymore, the inside part of the piercing is still going to be too weak to deal with, you know, the jewelry being taken in and out. So you're going to end up damaging the inside part over and over again whenever you change it if you don't let it heal. And it's just never going to heal. Which leads to multiple things, which leads us to the last point on my list. The things that can happen if you change a piercing too soon. Basically, first off, it will get irritated. Sooner or later, it will get irritated. And it might even turn into an infection. Well, the difference between an infected piercing and a irritated piercing, you know, there is a big difference, but for people like me personally, I've never had an infected piercing. Yeah, let's hope I didn't just curse myself. But, you know, it can be very like an infection in a way, but an infected piercing, what I've heard from other people at least, it's it's hot to the touch. It will be swollen, it will be red, you can pretty much feel your heart beating in it, it will be really painful, it'll smell bad, and there will be pus coming out of it. Not all the symptoms need to be there, but you know, like if you're worried that you have a infection in your piercing, I always recommend going back to the piercer, because they can just look at it and they just have the knowledge and experience, if they're good piercers that is, to, you know, see if it is an infection indeed or if it's just irritation. So just to be safe, if you're worried that you're having an infection in your piercing, go back to the piercer. But the point is, you know, like that's something you don't want. Like you don't want to kind of like keep reopening the inside of the piercing and let bacteria in and then get an infection, because even though I've never had one, it doesn't seem like a fun experience to go through. And even if you don't get an infection, I can tell you from experience that irritated piercings are not fun either. And also with some type of piercings, like you don't really have this risk with like cartilage piercings, but for example with surface piercings like a belly button piercing, you might even cause it to grow out if you start changing the jewelry too fast and irritate it, and then you'll be left with no piercing and a scar instead, which would be a waste. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up the entire video, really. That's the entire advice. That's really all I've got to say about it. And like, you know, just to be clear here, like this isn't meant as a video of like, don't you dare change your jewelry too fast. Like it's your piercing, your body, and it's in the end your own risk. So yeah, like I'm not gonna tell you what to do and what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Just, you know, my advice in general is always wait for the piercing to fully heal before changing it, because if you do that, you'll probably have a nice piercing for the rest of your life, and if you change it too fast, you might end up with an infected piercing or, you know, a no piercing instead. So yeah, just, you know, I always advise just wait for it to heal. If you have any questions about piercings, you can always ask them, and I'll try my best to give you a somewhat useful answer. Other than that, yeah, that was pretty much it for today. If you found this video fun or at least somewhat useful, please click the like button, it would really help me out. And if you want to see more videos of me, I actually mainly do makeup tutorials. You can always subscribe to my channel, and for now at any rate, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!